Hey everyone, welcome back to the next part of the tutorial on how to animate a fight scene in Blender. Okay, so we have our character set up here doing their attacks, and now we're going to add in another character. If you're using the scene file that I have provided, you will see if I uncheck this character, we have an additional character here added to the scene. So from here, I will add in the overlays, so now we can kind of see both characters overlays at the same time, so we can get them started on animating. So what I'm going to do is, for this scene, I want to have this character do some dodges and probably some blocks until they get hit by that last hit here, right? So we have a couple options. You can do some dodges, some blocks, and even can do some hits depending on exactly how you want to do it. Just know that if you do a lot of hits, like if they're going to get hit from the attack, it's going to look a little almost like a combo for a video game if they're just getting hit. So you see how many hits here we have: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? It's almost like a 5-hit combo. You really can do whatever you want for this part, but I'm going to do a combination of some dodges and blocks until that last hit. So the first thing I'm going to do here, right, is set our standing frame here on frame 0 to kind of mirror what we have over here on this end. So what I'm going to do is just matching the pose that the character has. You know, it doesn't have to be exact because it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, just to give them a good spot to go ahead. Can get this going. So it kind of gives you that whole mirror, you know, one character has the same type of look or abilities as the other one, so we're going to give that whole mirror attacking vibe here. Then starting from the feet, and why not the feet? So the same idea as what we had before. From here, so it's looking pretty good. His turn. Perfect. we kind of got in there. Let's get this arm facing. Let's get the shoulders up a little bit. Let's bring his head down. Bring it down just a tad. We should be kind of good here. If I look at the whole thing, maybe we can probably fix this stance to be a little bit more even. Facing our opponent a little bit more. Seems pretty good for the most part. You can always spend more time tweaking your poses. That's always going to make the animation stronger. The stronger the poses that you have, the better the animation. So if we have it here, the arm isn't entirely too great, but I believe here we got it pretty good. All right. So we still have our auto key on, so all of the poses should have been saved. All right. So we're gonna go to that first move we have, which is this punch, right? So because the punch really is nowhere going to really hurt or hit our character, we're going to move our character into the direction for that first frame towards the punch, so it can look a little more believable that this would happen, right? So let's get a little bit closer in there. Now if we do it, now it's a little bit more believable, but I would even open up our character just a little bit more. Because when we're moving quicker and the keyframes are moving, we're not going to necessarily see it too clear. So they'll fit, but just in case we want to kind of have it feel a little bit believable, right? So if we're here and we do a punch, that's a little more like, okay, I need to go ahead and dodge this, because now it's within my space of I need to go ahead and make a move to make sure that this doesn't hit me. So it's a little more believable that way. And this is still a good fighting distance if I want to, put a camera up here. So first pose we're going to do on frame 5, I would say, is just kind of get this block. Okay, so the first pose we're going to do is on frame 5 is to get this block, right? To block them the first punch is a pretty easy punch to go ahead and block. It's like, okay, well, this wasn't even really going to hit me, so let's go ahead and do like a nice block here. But how are we gonna block? We have a couple options. I think it's probably just easier to just turn against the actor or against the opponent here and just kind of block with like that shoulder. Here, kind of do one of these blocks. Like, it's like, okay, I understand what's going on, but we want to give it some movement so the character kind of have something to move towards once it does a block. right? Right, very simple, nothing too complicated. And we have this block kind of set in, right? Goes in for the punch, blocks it, right? So from here, the next pose is this character coming in and kind of maybe knocking out that that block pose. Like, okay, this character is not blocked, blocked it. Let me go ahead, I guess, throw this elbow. I'm not sure if that's enough to take out the block pose, but it'll look cool in combat, right? So coming in with this elbow, and that might be enough to go ahead and knock it out here. So I'm gonna kind of keep this pose around here on frame 8. We're gonna kind of copy that same pose here. So it'll be coming in for the block, keeping that block there, and then we're gonna actually make some moves and react to this hit move here, right? So for us to react to it, I'd say I would give about 2 frames, right? Because anything from 8 to 9 for 1 frame is probably going to be too much of a drastic change. So we're going to move in the direction of where the attacker is coming from. So if the attacker is coming from here, then it's much easier for us to react in that direction. So also, if the actor is if the character is taking out the elbow, maybe we're going to go ahead and remove and just move that arm a bit, maybe to the side, and be like, ooh, you opened up maybe the character's frame here, right? Because now at this point, the frame's kind of opened up, like, right? So like in motion, while the character's blocked, this comes in and it kind of opens the character up for the next move to come in here to kind of go for that rip shot. So that should kind of all kind of line up and make kind of sense. And then we'll kind of move up the opposite way, right? So I'm just kind of lightly placing some, let's actually do it frame by frame, because quickly like this we can't really see. So let's change our playback to every frame. So from here, right before the hit, how I animate hits. So if we have this hit, ideally the character is still going to be going with that same momentum until moved on the opposite side. If you guys have heard of what, like Newton's laws of gravity, right? An object in motion will stay in motion, right? Unless enacted by another force. I'm sure that's what it is, right? So once the character is gonna get hit there, it's still gonna be following that same motion as it was going before. So we're gonna open up a little bit, maybe be moving more of the torso towards it, and definitely let's see, we can be moving the body even almost towards this hit. That way it looks like the character is hitting a good spot to get this move in. So let's even do it this way. So it really looks like, okay, push, moving, and then gonna hit here. And what I'm doing there, I really want to kind of get some rough movements with my poses to kind of get, okay, let's just make sure these poses kind of work to counteract the move from my first character. So we're gonna move on, add some more frames here. And the next pose is that body shot pose, right? And then we have that chop here. So if we have the body shot pose, what I want to do is kind of curve the body. We're going to go same thing here where we kind of do until 16 here. I'm going to curve the body in the opposite direction. And move it here. Right, because then we can kind of lean back a little bit. And move back here. And what I want to do is move the arm down, but away. Let's see if that even looks good or makes sense. Oh, that might be turned way too much. And then we kind of move this down a bit. Just kind of back. Move this up, bring in, not posing in. Right, because now it's going to look like we got to kind of hit there, right? Move from here, boom. Right? Okay. So from here, I've noticed that the head started to move prior to the attack. So I'm going to select the head and just kind of making sure that I copy and move this frame all the way here to 14 just for now, because I wanted to make sure that the pose is where it's supposed to be. I think that should be good. Right, opening up, getting that hit. Right, I believe this one is also the same. All right, select. Right, there's a couple of these. Yeah, that one's good. This one's good. All right, that should have been it. Opening out, hit, and then getting to that reaction. So then the next move afterwards is going to be the chop of this arm. All right, because now it has an arm to chop. So we're chopping this arm there, which is going to send the character into a down motion, right? So the same idea is from 18, we're still going to be moving in that general direction of where we were before. Maybe even opening the arm a little bit more. But kind of just doing the same motions as that we had literally 2 frames before. Okay, and then once we have this next pose, which is this chopping motion, we're gonna kind of come back into a pose of going into that next opposite direction, but more now into this down pose, right? Because now that force has not caused a character to move down. So let's move our character here. Then let's move this character down more into the direction of this hit. Well, I think it's a good kind of move in here some more. I think that's a good strong pose here, because once the character comes in with the chop, kind of moves into that direction here, right? So from here, this is when the character comes in for the kick. So in order to set ourselves from that, we're going to move in here, but also rotate the character so they kind of take a step back, right? So let's do it where the character, let's go to 20 frame 30. I'm saying the character, our blue character, uses that momentum from where they were to move back some. Kind of like almost getting the blue character off balance. So let's get that pose here, move this character back, way back. And kind of setting up a brand new pose back here. Whereas get this feet turned forward. Right, it's gonna take us a couple of frames to make that move here, right? So, ooh, too much. Even kind of getting this character be on a little more of a balance here. Maybe. And everything's happening at the same time. Right now, I'm kind of still blocking the poses. Just to really get a good feel of what's happening, right? So now you're kind of looking at the character and being like, oh man, I'm really getting rocked right now. What's my next move? And maybe we're gonna drop this arm to a bit, because now your guard's all the way down. And again, with the fingers and certain details of the poses, it will be handled in our cleaning stage. That's really where we're going to get the, at least that's when I do it, get the real details of the fingers. But right now, I just wanted to really get our pose, and I think that's a good location. Right, it's happening at the same time though. So if I were to bring it out to 30, when this kick is happening, I wonder if I want to end it off with a super block. That'd be kind of cool. Or a hit. I may do a block just to make it, just to give the blue character a fighting chance. So let's see from here. Playing a refrain block, and then it's a hit, 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 and then they're gonna step back and get this hit or block. So let's actually see it in the okay. So for our next pose, we're gonna move up to frame 26. It looks like after we have this arm kind of coming down, the character moves in for that side kick. So we're gonna have this character move back a little bit to kind of have that momentum of the arm coming completely down into this pose. So if the character is moving towards the momentum of the arm, all right, so we want to have just a little bit of clearance, just so it's pretty clear that this character's about to get hit. Right, so we're following the momentum of the hit into this location. And I want to have the character just slightly off balance, kind of like, okay, I just got hit from this move. Right, so then that looks pretty good, because then the kick is precisely wide open. So it does the move here, and it kind of sets it up for that kick here, right? So we go in fast speed, and then that kind of sets it up for this move here. So when the kick happens on 30, it's not so bad. We might even adjust it just so we can make sure that the kick hits right away. Let's fix the foot here a little bit. Maybe even open the character up some. That way the kick could happen right there. Even though it's kind of hitting that armpit, we can kind of have this character right. We could probably even move this arm a little back more. And then this part's a little quick, but that should be